And with all of that being said, I think that's going to lead perfectly into our album review for the week. This week we're going to talk about this is probably the smallest band I think that we've covered so far. The Pretty Wild are growing pretty rapidly. They're still relatively small, but this band is also very small. And as I'll get into, I think that they should be a lot more popular, and they're very underrated. And this is a band called Eva Under Fire. This is an alt metal band that's been around since 2015. They're currently signed by the Better Noise music label out of Detroit, Michigan. I originally heard this band back in 2024 when they played at Aftershock early in the day, and immediately I was a fan. I listened to Blow, Coming for Blood, their version of Separate Ways, and then plenty of other songs off of Love, Drugs, and Misery that came out in 2022. They have just shy of 500,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, numerous songs with millions of plays. The band is fronted by Amanda Leiberg, Rob Leiberg on lead guitar, Chris Slapnick on rhythm guitar, Ed Golick on bass, and Dave Miller II on drums. Amanda, this is incredible. She's also a therapist. In fact, she's actually a psychotherapist with Backline, which covers mental health resources for music industry artists facing depression and other issues. I also believe that she's a clinical psychologist outside of that back home in Michigan, too. And I also learned actually just earlier today. It's funny, I've shouted out she's with the band before, and Tori Kravitz, what she does over there, fantastic job. It just so happened that she had her on the podcast, and I'm talking about the album on this podcast this week. But I watched a short from She's with the Band earlier today, and Amanda and Eva Under Fire actually teamed up with to write "Love on Our Arms" for Villainous, a song, the album, but the lead track of the album, to raise awareness and funds for mental health. And that's fantastic. And to write "Love on Our Arms," a great organization out there. They're usually out at least Aftershock. I'm not sure about the other festivals too, but they do great things. So in general, though, from what I've heard from this band Eva Under Fire, I've very much liked it. So without further ado, let's get into this thing. Villainous. We start off with the opening track, which is "Awakening." And I love the guitars on this right away. The riffs really make this feel like an explosive start to the album. And I've always really enjoyed Amanda's voice. It's super powerful. She's dynamic. She's got a mix of solid cleans, but she can really also belt out verses, belt out a chorus, and you can really just sense the emotion whenever she's singing. This just screams overcoming past negativity and trauma, kind of being a new and improved person ready to take on the world. Two key parts to the song. I told the dark that I had survived. Demons couldn't take me. I am awakening. And then with air in my lungs, I scream to the sky. I'm alive and breathing. Heart is steady beating. Great opening song here. Great opening track. Kind of sets the course going forward for the album. And that takes us, to My Own Name. If Awakening wasn't an anthem, then this certainly is. It starts out kind of light with the "I know my own name," and then after that, it just picks up with the heavy riffs, and then the chorus on this is magnificent as well. I mentioned she can belt out verses, and the "I'm Not Dead Yet" is a perfect example at the breakdown. They definitely show you don't need screams per se to be a kick-ass metal band, but she's more than capable of doing that at times. She's badass. I love Amanda. This song just screams, "I know who I am, and nobody can take that away from me." Essentially, I'm standing up for myself and what I believe in, not caring what other people think about you, and just doing you. Also, we've heard some heavy bass in these first couple tracks so far, but the drums on this absolutely kick ass too. So just really solid instrumentally, and a really great start to the album. From there, we continue on, and we got "Survive My Scars." And I'll start by saying that, I just love how Amanda is able, with the background as a therapist, to be able to put past pain away and not solely focus on that or the negatives that she has gone through or dealt with, and instead kind of ball it all up and talk about her transformation and inner strength coming out of it. Definitely a major motivation for others, and can certainly help people. Therapeutic is the perfect word for that. And that's the case here too. Part of the song, Leave My World in Pieces, I'm Still Bleeding, It's Tearing Me Apart, but I'll Survive My Scars, just screams pure resilience. I love that it also slows down a bit after the second chorus, and we get some secrets aren't worth keeping, stories ain't worth repeating. And what I get from that is that, she's not afraid to speak about her past or her vulnerability because the way she's doing it could be motivational or helpful for others. So, really good here, and just, kind of continues the resiliency theme of trying to find self-worth to start this album. Um, from there, we go to the title track, Villainous. This features Maria Brink of In This Moment. Always great to hear Maria's voice. And I know that In This Moment we'll be having an album coming out in just over a month. We'll be covering that here when that comes out. Two great albums coming out on the same day, August 28th, Witch, and then the new album from The Warning, which I'm blanking right now at the moment. Sorry, having a brain fart. Anywho, getting back to this song, each song, because of its meaning so far on this album, but also instrumentally, gives anthem-like vibes. I think that's great. Really good energy so far. We haven't stopped. A big part of this song, careful what you create because I am not the same. So go ahead and hate me. What's done is done. I've become villainous. Essentially, I'm not the same person. You've created a monster likely from abuse. And because I'm strong, you now hate me. But screw it. I'm proud of who I now am. It just, again, super, super empowering here. So we continue that with another great track. And we proceed on to The Words You Say. This is kind of just screaming, struggling with a toxic relationship. Part of this song, you only tell me that I'm beautiful right before I fall apart. This is part of the chorus. I'm going to hate myself for loving you every time you break my heart. Very melodic, especially during the choruses. Another good track here on the album. From there, we go to Don't Say I'm Okay. Again, I just can't stop saying how beautiful Amanda's voice is when she belts out these choruses. Definitely just a super underrated, powerful, clean voice in metal. And it's funny because as I wrote that, we got to the bridge and we get an incredible scream from her here with I Let You Lie all the way until you've taken it all away from me. We kind of talked about this theme last week with the Pretty Wild's 0 Point Genesis album, but what I'm getting here is just trying to look good to the rest of society, putting on a fake face when in reality, what's under that mask is a lot darker than what appears. And it's clear here that she's struggling. Part of the song, I would recreate the golden gates to never have to say goodbye. And I kind of just wondered if this is about, someone close to her that's passed. I suppose it could also be about leaving a long relationship potentially as well. And judging by that part where she screams, it definitely could be a relationship. Now, that being said, I kind of could go either way still when we get to Hello Hollow because everything's kind of ran together with this album. And Hello Hollow is this song just screams grief and just kind of dealing with grief. So it could be the former thing I mentioned about someone close to her that's passed. And so I was kind of curious when, listening to this song, who in her life who's been close to her has passed away. I didn't even know this. I looked up and saw her father passed away in 2018, absolutely heartbreaking from a fentanyl overdose. Her mom barely survived it as well, and it actually played a major factor in her becoming a therapist and obviously some songs that she's done with the band. I read that and it was heartbreaking. I'm so sorry for her and the rest of her family. I know I say this all the time, but I'm just glad that she has found a way to find something meaningful out of that tragedy. I mentioned it, in relation to Jill and Jules Wild mother passing away last week and how that's kind of played a role with their music. With this song, Hello Hollow, when Amanda gets lower during the chorus, saying Hello Hollow, you can really kind of just sense that sadness. I love the rhythm and the bass guitars here a ton. They both just create so much energy. It's as if it's, building tension up to the chorus and then the energy again just continues. We also get a quick violin here at the end of the song too, which is certainly a welcome addition. So a really good track here in the middle part of the album. That carries us over to Dark Soul. Admittedly, this is not one of my favorites on the album. Just not 100% really my cup of tea. Still solid, though. Amanda gets really high here in the chorus with Dark when saying Dark Soul. The aggressive riffs and heavy bass continue on this track. The chorus here is definitely very catchy. Not as up-tempo, though, as their other songs, and I think that's the big thing for me is I'm very big fan of up tempo rock and metal, and we don't get that here, and it kind of just feels like it takes away from maybe a little bit of part of the album. But again, that's just my personal flavor and my take on that. It definitely slowed down a bit towards the end of the song. Um, However, we go right back up tempo with Gasoline. Just a ton of energy, very upbeat here, and I absolutely love this song. You look at the first line of each verse in this song too. Every word make it hurt, go ahead and try, and then scream at me, shoot to kill, give the third degree. Then the first two lines in the third verse, say your piece till you drop, no one's listening. May you choke as you speak, all the hate you preach. So this to me all kind of just screams judgment or bullying and how it can affect someone mentally, emotionally, and kind of cause them to blow up at themselves, or throwing gasoline on an already burning fire, if you will, to make someone worse. Really good song here. From there, we proceed to a Murder Scene. And the bass of this one just sets a really dark, serious tone right away, where you can almost feel the tension. I kind of mentioned the tension building in an earlier song. You really get it here. It's intense. Part of this song, should have known better when the smiles turn to stares. I scream, but no one's there. It's not real. Shut it down. Take a pill. Again, we have themes of judgment from others and how it affects one mentally and how it can make them depressed to the point where some unfortunately commit self-harm or even attempt suicide. Very, very, very dark themes here for sure. Um, from there, we continue to Safe Word. This is a little bit softer, kind of people trying to tear you down, themes of being manipulated. I love the Guitars All album, and I like them here too. I will say again, just in general, this song wasn't really as much my cup of tea compared to some of the others on the album, but it's still solid here too. And then we get to the last two songs on the album, starting with Teeth. This had some really great melodies to it. I actually wonder if this is basically a song hitting back at the expectations of the beauty or the fashion industry. A couple pieces of this song, say what you want because this beauty is a beast, smile at the cameras just so you can see my teeth, I've got a craving for blood and vanity being a big word there because obviously Vanity magazine relating to some of that too. Obviously a lot of people who show off their body or in these industries are judged heavily by critics, and that can affect a lot of things in a negative way mentally with people, such as body dysmorphia. So this is, to me, at least what I believe this is about. Again, I don't admit to have all the answers, but if it's what I believe it's about, really good, fantastic social commentary here. Speaking of what I believe is social commentary, and I could very well be wrong on this last song, but again, everything's kind of built up a little bit, and I'll get into that in a second. We go to A Violent End, and immediately, right away here in the beginning, we almost get like a metalcore thrash metal start to the song in the first 10, 15 seconds. It's different. I love it. But immediately after that, we get back in some traditional rhythm and riffs. Very forceful, in your face, definitely kind of grabs your attention. This to me is almost, wishing the worst for someone who took advantage of someone vulnerable. A couple pieces of this song, I hope you pay for the sins of fame. And immediately I'm kind of thinking, is that people in power preying on others? And this is where my take at least is on it. I really wonder how deep this truly is. Are we getting political? Are we just talking about Hollywood here? Because I mean, if we are, you can even infer this is about Epstein to an extent. I'll hazard and say it is, because think about this album. We go from talking about themes of self-empowerment to dealing with toxicity and judgment, and then finish with social commentary, back to Teeth in the last song, and then now this. Basically now, I get the sense she's a confident who she is as a person after dealing with the darkness she's dealt with in her life. She's now trying to help others get out of it, and one way to do that is to focus on certain industries or things happening in society. It all ties really well together. It flows perfectly if that's what they're going for, and if it is what they're going for, this is just masterful. My overall thoughts on the album: fantastic. In a big way, it's therapeutic. There isn't necessarily a lot of deviation between certain songs and musically, outside of a couple that are a little bit lighter in a way, if you will, not quite as heavy riff wise. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because their strength is Amanda's powerful vocals mixed with solid heavy riffs. And again, as I just stated, everything just flows together perfectly, even with the meaning behind the whole album. I really went back and forth on this and kind of was like, is this better than the Pretty Wild 0 Point Genesis last week? And I actually decided it is. I think it just edges it out. This is just such a good album. I'm going to go 8.5 out of 10. This is just a very underrated, um, I'm not going to say underappreciated because it's not, I don't think it's a matter of like people hear them and like don't appreciate them. I just think a lot of people might not know who they are. But they're a very underrated band. Amanda's a very underrated singer in this space, and more people need to check them out for sure. This is great stuff. Highly recommend this album. Go check it out. Villainous on YouTube Music, Spotify. They need more eyeballs and more ears on them for sure. This is just a great band. So.